Well, this is not something I would typically do. Usually when we research something, we write about it, often sort of in private, not telling many people about it, and then we eventually get to a point where we submit some work and hopefully get accepted into a journal. Whereas today I want to talk about some research that is still ongoing. So nothing's been written completely yet. It's still very much in development, but I'm hoping that it'll be an article that gets out there in the public domain sooner rather than later, because the subject's on COVID. And I'm looking at TikTok and how it's been used as a platform to communicate COVID messages over the last 6 months. There's a few things I'm really excited about with regards to the research. One is the methodology. What I've done is look within the platform to understand how it's presented COVID messages over 6 months. And that methodology itself is interesting because it looks at the content within the screen and tries to do a recording, a capture of the data within that platform. And the methodology of analysing it involves both content and visual analysis, looking at things like user comments on videos, looking at the institutions involved with producing content and seeing how they've used it. And what I want to try to understand is how TikTok, as a platform for communicating messages about COVID, has been accessed, understood and utilised by organisations. And there's one further aspect that I think is really unique about this research. And it's that whilst we live in a social media environment where everything that we see is increasingly a personalised feed around content, we all see different things within these platforms because we live and consume content within filter bubbles. Everything is affected by our behaviour. But in TikTok over the last 6 months, what they've done is create a button within the app that is on every video that you see, regardless of what things you look at and your preferences. And when you click on that COVID button, you see a series of videos which have remained static for 6 months. So the data that I'm using is around that video content that's been presented to all users of TikTok and trying to understand, therefore, what sorts of messages have been shared and understood. That's the data. The analysis of it is still very much ongoing, but I hope you'll find it interesting, and please do send any comments and feedback about what you think about the research.